Hello again, my name is Ernest Mino. Let's settle for the details now. Floodwaters in the Gasau district have started receding following 3 days of spillage of excess water from the Wager Dam. The scams, as 3 of the spillways have been closed. Thousands of homes were flooded, with hundreds of residents spending the last 3 nights outside of their homes and temporary structures. Some of the victims, including children, are relying on family and friends for a sleeping place. They have been making desperate pleas for food and other basic essentials in the wake of the havoc from the humanitarian crisis. Maxwell visited the Wager Dam this morning and reports that 3 of the flood spill gates have been closed, leaving 1. Some affected persons are heaving a sigh of relief because the floodwaters are now receding.
This is the genesis of all that we've been reporting from Tuesday, Wednesday, and indeed earlier today, Thursday. So all of these water that you are seeing is what is going downstream to flood the communities, Wager, SCC, Choice, Modest, Tetegu, and all the communities affected by the flooding. What you're seeing now is a mild version of what happened on Monday, because we were told that the spill gates, 4 spill gates were actually opened. Now 3 of them have been closed, and the information that we're picking indicates that this is just 1 spill gate, that has been opened. So just 1 spillway, but you can still see the ferocity of the water. You can see the intensity, of the water, and all of this is going downstream. It gets downstream, and then we see, the consequences. But Ernest, we've been hearing from officials here who've been telling us that, look, this is a necessary evil, because if they do not do this, the dam, the dam would break, and then when that happens, the consequences will be very, very devastating and deadly. They tell us that what we're seeing right now is a controlled situation. If they do not spill, if they do not open the spill gates and the dam breaks right now, all these communities that you see downstream are likely going to be wiped out. So it's a necessary evil for them to spill the excess water from the Wager Dam. But visiting the communities, we've seen some personnel of the National Disaster Management Organization. They started another phase of the operation today.
Power supply to the area remains cut. The ECG says although it is losing revenue, it cannot risk restoring electricity because some of its transformers in the affected areas are in water. Let's now go onto the phone and speak to Communications Manager Officer of the Accra West Electricity Company of Ghana, Fred Bambil Johnson. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for your time here on News Today. So can you share with us how your operations have been affected as a result of the floods?
Well, I'll say good afternoon to you and to your listeners. Since Tuesday, when the flood, when we're faced with the flood, we had to take a decision as a company because for safety reasons, we had to make sure that we're not putting lives and properties at risk. And so we curtailed power supply to some communities within the Wager area. Now, by virtue of the fact that we are not having electricity for these persons to use, it means that the company is losing some revenue. And so obviously that affects our operations. Then also, we have some transformers, ground-mounted transformers, which are also in areas which are flooded. And so that also means that later we expect that after doing some technical assessment, may be faced with some problems with these, and they would need some further attention.
How much have you lost?
Well, we are not speaking numbers now. Currently, we are monitoring the situation, trying to see as much as possible how we can bring back communities which have their flood waters receding back on supply. So we want our immediate goal is to make sure that life and property are safe, and then wait for communities that have better situations, we bring them back on supply. I'm sure once all these are done, we'll be able to sit down, count our losses, and then know exactly what the financial impact of the period has been.
From where you sit, given the nature of the situation, when is it likely that power will be restored?
So we are doing this on a case-by-case basis. Yesterday, we were able to restore a community at Wager Dam. Constantly, we are monitoring the situation with the national officials on the ground. And so I think when we assess and realize that if to restore supply, we do. So there are some communities that we expect to come back home because, as reported, the floodwaters are receding now, and so we would expect that after when we shall be bringing the back on supply.
Thank you for your time. That's a communications officer at the Accra West Electricity Company of Ghana, Fred Bambil Johnson. My colleague Mark Soladotba has been reporting that some more, rains are expected, and so the residents are taking precaution in order to save their property. Some other areas have had the water recede. We've seen some of the people go back to their homes to try and salvage what they can actually salvage. A lot of them have spent days, at least 3 days, 3 nights out of their homes, some staying with friends and family. Others are the temporary structures, the shelters provided by the assembly. We also know that they're actually making a desperate plea for some help from NADMO. Max Odobra has those details.
Visiting the communities, we've seen some personnel of the National Disaster Management Organization. They started another phase of the operation today. They're still knocking on doors, visiting communities such as Tetegu, helping people who still are unable to come out from their rooms. They tell us that they've been able to rescue many of them. That happened yesterday. We saw them carrying aged people. We saw them carrying nursing mothers, pregnant women in their speedboats and then taking them to safety. We saw military trucks also carting the household appliances and all items salvaged by affected residents to the dry land. We're told that they are not resting on their oars. They are continuing with that operation today. And indeed, when we were on the ground, we saw them there. We are hoping that this efforts, would continue till the week ends. But what we are likely not to see is power being restored anytime soon. Our sources at the Electricity Company of Ghana tell us that they are in touch with the National Disaster Management Organization. They are doing their own assessment, and until they are satisfied that it's safe to restore power supply, it will be very difficult for them to do so, Ernest.
Maxwell, thank you very much.